Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Southside Jetta podcast with Charlie and Zidane. Hope you guys enjoyed last episode. And Zidane, it's been a while since we did a podcast where we released right after we recorded it because we had the 1-year anniversary episodes with James Fox and Jordan Lazowski. Make sure you guys watch those. They are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast or listen to your podcast. And Zidane, it's been a very interesting couple of weeks for the White Sox. And I will say a pretty fun week for the White Sox. Zidane, the Field of Dreams game, that was a game about a movie, but turned out to be a movie by itself. That's how I put that. That game was a whole movie. It was amazing, and we got to experience it with each other, and that was just amazing. Zidane, tell listeners what you thought about that, because that was unreal.
I mean, first of all, anyone who's criticizing the game or, them walking out of the cornfields with Kevin Costner, just don't talk. No one wants to hear that opinion. Sure, it's like, it is corny, but in a good way. Like, even people who can't truly connect, like I've seen the movie, but like me and Charlie weren't alive during when it was released and when it was all like a lot of people watched it. But we can still enjoy like seeing Eloy Jimenez walk out of the cornfield, Luis Robert probably on TikTok walking out of the cornfield. I mean, it's just so cool. And when the music hits, and then I think you saw that there's too, Charlie, where the scoreboard is the old style.
Yeah.
They got people dressed in like 1920s clothing going up a ladder. Even the Fox like broadcast scoreboard is different. I mean, I think the MLB really outdid itself with this game. And I think it showed, as it is the highest watched regular season MLB game since 2005, which was when, right after the Red Sox won the World Series, it was Red Sox and Yankees. And that averaged about the same. But I think it was like 5.9 million, I think. I don't know if that's the peak or the average, but still a high number for a baseball game. But I mean, Charlie, we got to talk about this game. Like, the atmosphere was insane. The intro was insane. I kind of like the broadcast too. But that game, wow, Charlie. I mean, you want to talk about it first? I mean,
home runs after home runs. That's basically all it was. The only run that was scored that wasn't a home run was the Tim RBI double, right? Am I correct on that? Yeah. So it was a slugfest in Iowa, and people love to watch home runs, and it was on national television, and it was two exciting teams. I mean, the Yankees, they are exciting, probably not for that game. They didn't have Rizzo, and they weren't at full strength. They were throwing Andrew Heaney. It's not like they were throwing Cole, but they are an exciting team, and obviously they're one of the biggest teams because they are the Yankees after all. But the White Sox, up and coming team, and I don't really think we're up and coming anymore because I think we're there and we're ready to win a World Series. But just to talk about that, the two teams that were picked, I think that was awesome. I think if it was any other team, I don't know how I would feel about that. Obviously, Red Sox, Yankees would be cool, but it was the Field of Dreams game, so it has to be the White Sox, right? So just thinking about that aspect, that was awesome. And the Yankees uniforms were awesome. The White Sox uniforms were awesome. And it was amazing. But let's talk about the game. It was Rodon supposed to be pitching. But as we've talked about on Twitter, and I'm sure everyone listening to this has, seen or heard on Twitter before, that you need to be careful with Rodon. You're seeing it with Kopech. There's an innings limit. Larissa's giving him an innings limit. There wasn't a limit on Rodon, but I feel like Tony was thinking in the back of his mind, whenever Tony is seeing that little, soreness from Rodon or like a dead arm, he's going to cut him off and give him a week, give him a start off, because he's never thrown this many innings in a season. It's crazy. It's just more than half a season, and we're not even in October yet. So you just got to be careful with Rodon. I think he'll be fine. But it was Lance Lynn that pitched this game, and he pitched pretty well. Obviously, did give up a homer, but what I want to talk about is the offense. Because, Zidan, the last time we did one of these episodes was before Eloy came back. Before his, because he was injured after he came back for a little bit. It was even before that. It was before he actually made his first start in Kansas City. So it's been a while, but we'll get to that at the last part of the episode. But Eloy with a tank, Sebi Zavala with a tank. He's shown improvement. I was at his three home run game. That was awesome. But it was just home runs after home runs. And Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge in the top of the ninth sucked all of the hope we had out of our bodies. Again, me and Zion were watching this together. He was at my house. And we just sat back on the couch. We were like, it's been a great game. Exactly. That's exactly what Zidane did for you. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, again, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube. That's exactly what Zidane was doing. We were both doing that. We were sitting back and we were like, this game is really going to end on a Stanton home run off Liam Hendricks. Is Liam really going to blow this? But again, they said Ricky's boys don't quit. Tony's boys don't quit. And Tim Anderson, first of all, I want to talk about that. It was like a 3 or 4 minute at bat by Sebi to lead to a walk. And Tim Anderson, I say it a lot, and I know Zidane agrees with me, but he's got to take some more pitches. But we don't care because he swung first pitch and hit it opposite field. Zidane's reenacting it right now. But the shots and pictures from that home run, I'm watching this at least 10 times a day. And by 10 times, I mean 10 times. Like literally, I'm watching this, I'm clicking it on Twitter more than 10 times a day because it is the best game I've ever watched in my whole entire life. Again, I didn't see us win the World Series. It's the best White Sox game I've ever watched. Obviously, it being at the Field of Dreams probably, bumped it up on the list a little more. But still, I mean, it's against the Yankees. Nobody who is a Yankee fan, who's not a Yankees fan, doesn't really like the Yankees. I mean, I don't really like the Yankees. I know Zidane doesn't like the Yankees. And it feels good to beat them, obviously, because they swept us in New York. But, God, Zidane, we're getting firepower back, and it's showing. But what are your thoughts on the game? Talk
The
about
Death
that.
Star is nearly complete, Charlie. The Death Star is nearly complete. With Eloy and Luis back, and we'll talk about that later. But I mean, you just got to start from the top because there's so much. Jose starts it off. First homer in Iowa into the corn. That's how you get it started. Lance Lynn has a good couple innings. Thing is up that monstrous first home run of Aaron Judge. They take a 3-1 lead. And then I believe it's the Tim Anderson RBI double. And then Eloy Jimenez. And then later, Sebi Zavala makes it, I believe, a 7-3 game. And then eventually, I think later, in the 7th or the 6th, I think in the 6th, me and Charlie both were like, all right, you got to take out Lance, right? Like, we're having discussion, like, who's pitching the 6th? Guess Lance Lynn staying in, gives up a Brett Gardner home run. Then I think he leaves 2 men on base for Michael Kopech. Charlie, I've never been so fired up than when Michael Kopech got that final out of that inning. Because he was so emotional. I mean, you could tell, like, he cared about this game. And he's just screaming, hitting his chest. Bro, every White Sox fan was so hyped. And Patrick Mahomes, he saw that too because he's a smart guy. He's like, wow, Kopech is very good at pitching. He's very good at baseball. I mean, Troy, I can't wait till this guy becomes a starter. Imagine that. Michael Kopech, Lucas Giolito, Lance Lynn, Carlos Rodon, Dylan Cease. What was it? Yeah. Michael Kopech, and then Aaron Bummer. He pitches. I think he pitched well. I don't remember anything.
Yeah, he's improved.
He's gotten his control back, and I mean, when Aaron Bummer hits the strike zone, it's insane because he is one of the best pitchers in baseball with his slider. Because think about with his arm slot and I believe he has the most horizontal movement of any pitch in baseball. Nobody has a pitch with more horizontal movement than Aaron Bummerstein. So if he could, like touch the strike zone, he'll be fine. Craig Kimbrell pitches, he's fine. But I mean, I guess this is kind of a bridgeway into the next game too. Liam Hendricks is so bad against the Yankees. In his career, he has a 8.5 ERA. On
Isn't
the
he like
A's,
1 for 7 for save opportunities? I want to
he's
see. I want
terrible.
to try to look up that stat.
I remember the graphic that NBC Sports had. But he sucked this year. He sucked with the A's even before he came to the White Sox. Like, this man has multiple save opportunities blown, like multiple. Like, not even just as a White Sox player, because he does have multiple as a White Sox player. Multiple in this series, as we'll talk about. Well, but as an Oakland A, I believe in a divisional series. Yeah, if I'm thinking correctly, in a divisional series, he also blew saves in that. How? How is it possible? Like, he's just so bad against one team. Like, he's raised his ERA to 3.5, in 2 game stretch. Liam, you're one of the best closers in baseball. Why do you suck against the Yankees? And
Yeah.
this is worrying because what happens when we face the Yankees? Because
Go Kimbrell.
I guess you could go Kimbrell. And I mean, I saw some people on Twitter being like, oh, Kimbrell, move him to closer. No. Like, if you're saying that after 2 games of Liam Hendricks, you're an idiot. Like, this dude is a top 5. That's why I think White Sox fans have just become so lucky they kind of have to chill out a little bit. You have 2 top 5 closers in baseball. I think, sure, if they wanted, they could interchange them. So if Liam gets to save one day, I think you could put in Kimbrell the other day. No one's wrong with that. But as it goes now, having Kimbrell for that 8th inning, I'm perfectly fine with that. Nobody has a problem with that. But Tim Anderson, man, those are, like you said it, you watch it 10 times a day. I mean, as a baseball fan, I can't help that slow-mo shot of him running to home with the fireworks
It's
going off.
over. It's over.
And when I show my fan, because first of all, my family's not baseball fans, but I show them all of the highlights. Like, even my dad, who's does not care, showed him the highlights, and he enjoyed it because it's an amazing baseball game in the Field of Dreams in Iowa. But that slow-mo shot, Tim Anderson, so many fireworks with the corn. That's magical. Like, that game could not have been better.
That game should have been in the Field of Dreams movie. It was that special. Like, that day was our first day of school. And we were pissed about waking up in the morning, but we knew that game was going to end our night. And we were like, okay, just get through this day of school and then we can watch this game. And even before the game, I'm like, oh yeah, we have school tomorrow, but it doesn't matter. Watching this team makes you forget about going to work the next day, going to school the next day. And that's why I love, I guess it just means we're good. I think it's just as simple as that. But we don't experience that too much being a Chicago sports fan. The Bears, it was oh, we're playing on a Sunday. We're about to get shelled and I have school the next day. But with the White Sox, it's we're playing almost every day and we're winning almost every day and it feels good. And I was speechless after the game. And I want to shift over to yesterday's game, and it is Sunday at 11:10 right now. We started this at 11 o'clock, August 15th. And again, we do have school now, so we're probably just going to move it to weekly on the weekends. It's not going to be that big of a change.
Oh yeah, we should mention that.
To Saturday or to Sunday, whatever. But I forgot where I was going with. Oh yeah, yesterday's game. Liam Hendricks, like you said, Zan, blew it. But you had Jose Abreu. I don't think Well, we can talk about the earlier moments in that game after I talk about this because it kind of goes with that what I was saying about like Tony's boys don't quit or whatever. 3-2 count, 2 outs down to his last pitch. And keep in mind, it was a great at bat from Abreu. We were down and we needed a run, and Jose was there to clutch up. And before his at bat, I was like, this can't happen again. Like, we are not this spoiled. Like, we're not this spoiled with great moments. We didn't win the game, but man, I was excited. Like, we didn't win the game. We tied the game, but it was still awesome. And you had Jose showing a little bit of emotion, going like this with his hands, clapping his hands right when he knew it was out. He knows when every homer is out, by the way. You know, he doesn't like, yeah, obviously he doesn't flip the bat, but he just like throws it to the side and he's like, yeah, okay, this is out. But I was screaming, man. Like, and this also shows as well, like, yes, we're playing a big team, but being a White Sox fan now means every game matters. Like, but every game doesn't matter. But as Sox fans, we feel the need to get, pissed off or really happy about every game. And I just love that. Like, no matter how we're doing, we're always emotionally invested. But then you leave the game after a couple of minutes, you're like, this really doesn't matter. Like, we've been playing so well. It's just one loss. There's 160 plus games in a season, but this one doesn't matter. But in the moment, we're really excited or really mad. That's what I love a lot being a White Sox fan right now. But yeah, last game, some few positives. Ryan Tepera, ever since his 2 or 3 bad not starts, but you know what I mean, bad outings to start the season, I think he's been really good. The slider last night looked like Kopech's slider in Baltimore. Really, really sharp break. Kopech's slider is faster, but Tepera's slider, I feel like, has a little bit more break, and that break was really sharp last night. I think he was good. Garrett Crochet K'ing the side. He did walk a batter, but he did K the side. And Crochet's looking good. He's looking good over his past couple of outings. And again, Kimbrel, it's crazy. We haven't even talked about Kimbrel, Cesar, Madrigal, Hoyer leaving because we haven't even had a podcast since then. And I know it seems like forever ago. But again, we'll talk about that. But adding Kimbrel with Hendricks is a lot of depth, and Tepera as well. But when you got guys like Crochet and Bummer performing, then we do have the best bullpen in the league. But again, they haven't been consistent. So I think we need to chill on that statement until they start improving. And I think that they are improving until they start improving in a consistent manner. But last night, it was a fun game. But why are we still pitching the Judge Zidane? You're thinking about that, right? You don't have a valid reason?
Well, Craig Campbell just missed. I think everyone can agree. You just missed. Usually, Craig Campbell doesn't pitch that pitch, but he had an off day. I mean, I'll give him 1 out of like 25 days. He's been so insane. I mean, he raised his ERA rate to 1.25. Like, that's okay. But hey, Jose took that back. An amazing at bat. Down to the final out, down to the final strike. We keep fighting. And then Liam Hendricks comes in. And
Manfred Ball.
Stuff happens, yeah. You could say, yeah, Manfred Ball with the first, run, and then Gallo is, I wouldn't call that Manfred Ball. I just call that Liam Hendricks versus the Yankees.
Right down the pipe, every pitch. Gallo's not missing that.
To Joey Gallo, who, by the way, already homered. So yeah, I'll read you his stat line. Liam Hendricks got 1 out, gave up 2 hits, gave up 2 earned runs. Pretty good. And Jose Ruiz finishes the inning, and then sure, we lost, but I'm kind of fine with that. I think we still know that our bullpen can be shaky sometimes. It's just gonna happen. Yankees bullpen, though, we showed, hey, we can hit the Yankees bullpen. Like, they're supposed to be the best in baseball. We're supposed to be the best in baseball. We kind of both suck during the series, so I'm fine. It equals out. Uh,
That's about it. That's all Zidane's got for that.
yeah, I mean, other than Jose's insane performance, yeah.
You just like we just don't care. Like it was a great game, but we lost and it's whatever. Like we've moved on. But what we haven't talked about are these acquisitions, these deadline acquisitions. All right. I'm gonna start it off with Nick Madrigal is not a White Sox anymore. Cody Hoyer is not a White Sox anymore. Craig Kimbrell's a White Sox. Cesar Hernandez is a White Sox. Brian Tepera is a White Sox. And Zidane, I don't know about you, but I love Nick Madrigal. I know lots of people like him, but I also know people who dislike him. And that's a big that's a big piece to us, obviously, because it's really nice to have the hitter that hits 300 plus. But listen, we said it at the beginning of the year. If we feel the need to cover a hole, we need to cover the hole because the front office has the win now mentality. So if you have that mentality, actually show it. And that's what they did. Like, do we need a second top five closer? Probably not. Do we need more bullpen depth? Yes. And we got Tepera. But like we could have added Tepera and somebody else, but we added Tepera and Kimbrel, which I think is pretty good. Hoyer, he can be very good, and I think he will be very good. He could have a great setup role, or he could be a great closer. I mean, who knows? But Nick Madrigal, I'll miss. But Cesar Hernandez has been quietly good so far, Zidane. I want to hear your thoughts on him. And yes, he's not going to hit 300 like Madrigal. But he's not in the same role as Madrigal. He's been hitting in the two spot. What do you got for Cesar?
Cesar's a really interesting player because if you look at his career stats, most of the time he used to be a contact hitter. With most of his time in Cleveland, he's hitting 294, 279, 283, high 280s, 290s. Those are good batting averages. He's mainly a contact hitter, and this year he's just really different. He's hitting for power. He has 20 home runs in a year. It's the second time in his career. No, never mind. That's the first time in his career he's hit 20 home runs in a season. And I'd say I'm happy with this because with Cesar Hernandez, you have not seen a decline in play coming to the White Sox. It's just been steady. He's kept playing how he's playing with Cleveland. He's been, first of all, that defense. Now, I'm a
Twin
fan of
Series
Nick
defense?
Madrigal, but Cesar Hernandez has been much, much better on defense. And hitting wise, he's had pretty good games. I think against the Cubs, he raked. And I think up until like this Yankees series, he was absolutely raking with the White Sox. I think he had 1,000 OPS. Then obviously the Field of Dreams game, I think he's the White Sox player has probably the worst game. I think he strikes out 3 times and then either grounds out or flies out. But I'm really happy with this acquisition. I believe this was the trade where he gave up Connor Pilkington, if I'm correct. Yes. That's perfectly fine because Cesar still has control on his contract. Good second baseman, possible top 10 in baseball. You could probably argue it. I'm perfectly happy with this trade, and I like how Cesar is hitting. He is hitting at an above average level, and that's all you need. That's all you need. With this lineup, and you add him into this lineup, because think about it. Cesar is what? Above Cesar's Tim Anderson. Below Cesar is Jose Abreu and Eloy Jimenez. As long as he can get on base, maybe hit a bomb, doesn't really matter because you are protected. That's what's so happy with these guys back from injuries. This whole lineup where you can get up into like the 7, 8, 9 hitters and still have Luis Robert there. You can still
Let's
have
move into
Yuan
that.
in the
Let's just
middle of
move
the
into
order.
that segment. I'm ready to talk about the comebacks.
I mean, we might as well, Troy. First player to come back and I have the most impact. Like hitting like one of the hottest hitters in baseball.
Let me read that stat line. 321 batting average. Again, 14 games played this season. 17 hits, 19 RBIs, 12 strikeouts, 6 bombs. Like, he's going to catch Yoan within a couple of days, honestly. I'm sorry, Zidane, but he will. That's just how it's going to go. But, I mean, I said it at the beginning of the year. if this guy I didn't say it like this because I didn't think he would get injured, but I said in my prediction that he would be our MVP. And it looks like if he played the whole season, he would be our MVP because he is one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now. Over the last 14 games, he's hitting bombs, he's getting base hits, and he is the best pure hitter on our team. He will be the best pure hitter on our team. And Luis Robert, again, not as good as Eloy Jimenez, and he's played less games, but I will pull up his stat line. But he's still hitting rockets off the bat. Every batted ball is hard off of his bat. It just flies off his bat. He has pure power. And let me say this, Eloy has gone to center so many times. He has multiple center field home runs already this season. I'm sure like half of his home runs are to center field. And lots of his hits are to center field. Last season, he had, I can't get it right. Last game, he had a bloop out to center field. And he's showing the center field power. And Luis Robert can hit it out there as well. And I'm so happy these guys are coming back. Yasmani Grandal, it's Birmingham, I believe, right? His rehab assignment. He's in Birmingham. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's so funny. Jordan Lazowski, make sure you guys listen to that podcast. But he loves Yasmani Grandal. If you're on White Sox Twitter, you know that because he gets on pace, as Jordan would say. But he's walking in Birmingham, which is just so funny. Everyone's posting on Twitter like Yasmani Grandal walked, not a surprise. But again, I said this last episode, not last episode with the guest, but last episode we did one of these. With these guys back, it is an MLB The Show lineup. Everybody has power. Tim, power. Cesar, power. Jose, power. Eloy, power. Wherever you put in the five. Vaughn, Luis, power. Like seven of your eight guys are going to have power. Then you add the DH, and that's a little confusing because we don't know the layout of that just yet. Again, Engel has been playing surprisingly really, really well. And Danny Mendick is going to be recalled because of, Lurie Garcia concussion. So Danny Mendick, we'll see his comeback. But Engel and Mendick, Zidane and I, one of our favorite players last season was Adam Engel, like just a really quiet guy that fielded his position really well. And I think, again, just to move back to these acquisitions, Zidane has made the defense far better because at the start of the season, if we roll back then, Yoan was a little shaky at third, but he's a good third baseman. We weren't worried. Tim, why does he overthrow the ball a lot? Why does he throw wide a lot? He is good at getting to the ball up until he has to throw the ball. And he does make the throws the majority of the time, but it is a little inconsistent, which leaves me worried. Then Nick Madrigal wasn't making the plays, but then you add Cesar Hernandez, and he is a Gold Glove second baseman. He was making these acrobatic catches over his head. He was making he was just making every play. He's getting the balls quicker. And Jose Abreu, come on, one of the most underrated defensive players in the game today. If you watch the White Sox every day, you will know that. Just checking the time. Game starts at 1. Excited for that. But yeah, I think the hitting obviously improved, but the defense has improved. And with Engel in the outfield and Luis back in center field, that is a speedy outfield. And Vaughn, again, he's not been anything crazy, but he's a trusty outfielder. Again, anything to add to that?
Well, just think about this, Charlie. You got a catcher, Yasmani Grandal, arguably the best in the first baseman, Jose Abreu, who's been really, really hot recently. Shortstop. Now my second baseman, Cesar Hernandez, hitting for power, having great defense. You love to see that. Tim Anderson, one of the best hitting shortstops in the league right now. You got to think about it. Who's hitting better than him? It's the question because, Tatis is out. Correa's, I think, been cold for a while. Javier Baez, don't even mention him. So, Tim Anderson. Third base, he's in his slump, but honestly, he's my favorite player. He'll bounce back. He does give good defense when he's on a good day. Left field, Andrew Vaughn. Eloy's not playing defense. He's a DH. Left field, Andrew Vaughn. Center field, Louis Bob. Right field, Adam Engel, who was like an 800 OPS on the year. This lineup is insane. With that rotation, with that bullpen, this team is so stacked. And once we get Yasmani back, no more Sebi, no more Zach Collins, Danny Mendick.
Well, I don't know about that. I want to ask you because I think Sebi goes down because I just think that's how it's going to go. But Zach Collins is going to continue to get games, but I want him to do well, but he is just so hard to watch behind the plate. Like Zach Collins, I want you to do well. And the hitting, I've seen the hitting before. I've seen some power. I've seen some pop. But lately, he's not been showing it, and the defense behind the plate is really not good. This wasn't his fault, but a ball came up and hit him in the throat when he tried to block it. It completely missed the throat guard, and I really hope he's okay because that you never want to see that. But again, it's hard to watch it behind the plate. But I think he stays up because Sebi has been better, but Zach Collins is younger, and I'm sure the front office wants him to improve and thinks that he still can improve, obviously, because he's still on the team. But yeah, Yasmani Grandal back is just going to be unreal. We're going to have Luis Robert batting like 7th, which is really insane. But anything more on the recent White Sox? Because I have one more thing to add to that. I think this is something that we should add to every episode. But you finish before I talk.
Well, I mean, just to talk about Zach Collins, he's the one where it's like actively you kind of like if you're looking at the game, you kind of have to watch the catcher because like, oh, that he missed that, didn't frame that, didn't frame that, didn't frame that. Don't know how he didn't catch that. Otherwise, Yasmani, you barely ever have concerns. Yasmani's like I'd say the best, one of, if not the best defensive catchers in baseball. He's obviously no Austin Barnes, Austin Hedges, like those guys who are just defense heavy. Because he also has power and he hits well. But Yasmani's great at defense. Sebi, been great at defense. He's just, you don't really notice him because he just puts it where you want it. Zach Collins is the only one where I'm like, oh, Collins is catching today. That makes more sense. Passed balls, wild pitches. I mean, he's terrible at defense. Really, he's terrible at defense. And I mean, I just don't think he gives you enough offense to keep him in the lineup. I'd much rather have Sebi Zavala because I think with a catcher, honestly, defense may be even a little bit more important. Because when you know Yasmani Grandal, like these guys are hitting 8 or 9 in the lineup. I'd much rather have it be Sebi Zavala where some at bats he looks like he shouldn't be in the major leagues. But hey, Sebi's been heating up. And then on defense, he's so much better, which is so important for a catcher. You cannot have a Zach Collins behind the plate. It's just bad for your team. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do in Yasmani, because I'm also guessing they'll give him some more rest time. He'll have probably split starts, kind of like Yasmani always gets a day off in like 2 series, and you see Zach Collins. They may do that like more. I have no idea. It's interesting to see what they think because
Do you see a scenario where they keep all 3 of them on the squad?
No. I guess they could, but that becomes weird because balancing between 3 catchers is so much weirder.
Yeah.
Like Yasmani Grandal is going to play most of the time, but when he has an off day, then you're going to go to Zach Collins, and then the next off day, Sebi. Like that just feels weird. Kind of feels like a wasting a roster spot, really, because you're only going to have a guy who plays what every 6 days, or every like week. That's so weird. But yeah, I like Sebi. He's been great on defense, which I do enjoy. But they'll probably keep up Zach, and it's going to be annoying. It's going to suck to watch Zach Collins play more defense. But hey, what can you do?
One more thing before I want to get into something else. But one more thing is this is the gauntlet. These next couple of weeks, this is the gauntlet before the playoffs. And it started with this Yankee series. Again, we lost last night, but we showed fight, so I don't really care. But then, so we got one more game in just under a few hours at 1:10, Giolito start. But it's the A's for 4. and then it's the Rays for 3, and then it's the Blue Jays for 4. So we're really going to see how good of a team we are, because after that, we do see the A's in Oakland. That's going to be so annoying. More 9 o'clock starts. Oh, I hate that.
Wait,
But
it's in Oakland?
yeah, the second Oakland series is in Oakland. Yeah, I didn't enjoy the Angels series. I don't like this. And Zenon's shaking his head. But then we also have the Red Sox and the Angels again. But this is really our hardest stretch for the rest of the season until the playoffs. And the Rays are the best team in the American League right now. I'm saying it like this because we are not at full strength yet, or we're just getting to full strength. But the Rays are the best team in the AL right now. And their pitching is just it's still good, but their hitting is what's really improved. Like, I didn't think the Red Sox or Rays would be as good this season, and I thought the Yankees would just really dominate, but obviously that's not the case. But these next 2 series are going to be really, really interesting. What are you looking for? Like we have to beat the good teams. We can't just be, what is it called? What's the phrase? Garbage slayers, team slayers, whatever it's called. But what do you think about for this A series and Rays series?
A's one will be interesting because of the teams, I'm probably least worried about the Rays. I mean, my bad. The A's. I think they're a beatable team for us. They do have good pitching. And so if we do see Chris Bassett, that would be interesting. They got some power in the lineup. Starling Marte, the new trade deadline acquisition, going off for them. But I mean, I'd much rather face them than the Rays because the Rays, I don't know how, but they find a way to win. Randy Arozarena, Wander Franco is hitting better. Austin Meadows.
Brandon Lau.
And then the pitching. I mean, I'm going to ask the question again. They don't really have an ace. So how do they do it? I mean, we always talk about the philosophy. They have different speeds. They have different arm slots. They just throw tons of different pitchers at you and hope some of them work. And usually it does. They're going to be an interesting team, Charlie. They're going to be a very interesting team. But honestly, the series I am most looking forward to, Charlie, I do have to ask you, is the Blue Jay series in Toronto?
I think, yeah, it is. Because, they were here. They were here at the start of the season. And then, we're going to Toronto. I'm so happy for them that the fans are there.
And then that's probably the series I'm most looking forward to. Because, Charlie, those games could be some slug fests. Jorge Springer, Vladimir Guerrero, Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, Lourdes Gurriel. I mean, they have such an insane lineup. And then we have such an insane lineup. You're going to have like Jose Barrios, Lucas Giolito. Sadly, Dallas Keuchel probably in one start. Let's hope not. Let's cross our fingers. No, Dallas Keuchel will not get in those games. I do not want to face a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with Dallas Keuchel throwing cutters over the middle. That's not a good day. But they have now much better pitching with Robbie Ray going insane this year. Hyun-Jin Ryu and Jose Barrios.
Not that bullpen,
Giolito, Cease. No, who cares about the bullpen? We don't like Jordan Romano. That's it. Dylan, Cease, Rodon, Lynn. Like, you could have some good pitching matchups in these games too. That's probably the games I'm most excited for. That Blue Jays series. Mark that on your calendar. Going to be some fun games. But Charlie, do you have anything else? Otherwise,
I do.
Go to my next point.
I do. I think we got to do this every episode because we don't do these episodes every day. We do them every week, and it's good to get updates. We won't do around the league every episode, but I want to add a new segment called The Bet. And if you've listened to the episode, you know what the bet is. The bet is who will finish in first, the Dodgers or the Giants. Zenon has the Giants. I have the Dodgers. And currently, the Giants are 4 games up, and the Padres are 10 games back. Padres have not been playing well. They're 4-6 in their last 10, so they're not showing good form. But it's looking decent for Zidane. But the Dodgers, they will have guys come back to form, I believe. And again, we'll see how it is. But we have $20 on that bet, and come the end of the season, Zidane will be giving me $20. I will put a clip on YouTube of him giving me the $20 when the Dodgers finish above the Giants. Listen, I want the Giants to finish above the Dodgers, but I just think the Dodgers will finish above the Giants. Zidane, anything else before we end this episode off?
It's interesting that you keep thinking that the best team in baseball won't finish first. Because that's what the Giants are. Chris Bryant added. Brandon Crawford, Buster Posey, Longoria may be coming back. I mean, Charlie, he keeps saying, I'm going to give you $20. But who's still in first? I mean, they're staying in first. Giants just keep on winning. And the Padres are stumbling. Let's hope the Mets can take a game off the Dodgers. Who knows? But you should be ready to give me $20, Charlie. So
I'm expecting a Dodgers run come the end of the season. And I think that run.
Well, you shouldn't be because, you should just be expecting the Giants to be more and more consistent. 75 wins, Charlie. They were the first to 70, first to 75, going to be the first to 80, going to be the first to 90, probably going to be the first to 100.
Okay. All right, relax. He's getting ahead of himself.
Am I, Troy? Am I? We're in August. We're in August now. We're in mid-August, and the Giants are still in first. They're not going anywhere. Unless the Dodgers have a major run, which they could. They could. I'm being honest. They could. But it'll be interesting to see when the Dodgers and Giants play again. I don't know their schedules. I don't know when, but those games are always good. And if they didn't start at 9 o'clock every time, I would probably tune in.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. We've ranted about those times before. But if you don't have anything else, we can close it out. And again, follow Twitter at Southside Agenda, YouTube, TikTok. Clips will go up probably a few days after this episode comes out. Full episodes on YouTube if you want to watch the video versions of the podcast. But thanks for listening. And the next few series for the White Sox are going to be interesting, and next week's episode is going to be ridiculous. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.